If you work a desk job, I need you to listen closely, because AI isn't coming for office work anymore. It's already inside it. And the scary bit is you probably won't notice it's happening in a dramatic way. There won't be some big announcement, no headline moment, no robot walking into your office. What's happening is quieter than that, and honestly more dangerous. AI is quietly rewriting office jobs behind the scenes, and in the next few minutes I'm going to show you exactly how it's happening, what the biggest warning sign is that it's already starting in your workplace, and the one shift that can put you on the safer side of this without turning your life into some learn to code nightmare. But first, here's the thought that should make your stomach drop a little. You can be doing well at work and still be on track to become unnecessary, not because you're bad, but because the job is being reshaped around you. Most people think the threat looks like this: AI replaces humans, clean, simple, overnight, but that's not how it's playing out in real offices. The real sequence is slower and sneakier. AI replaces tasks, then it changes the role, then it changes the team, and only at the end do people get removed. That's why it feels invisible. Because while you still have your title, still have your login, still have your routine, the guts of the job are being hollowed out. And I want you to keep one question in your head while you watch this, because it's the question that decides whether your job future is stable or fragile. If AI takes away the messy part of office work, how many people does your team actually need? Here's where the rewrite starts, and it always looks harmless at first. It begins with tiny upgrades that nobody argues with. Your company doesn't say it's automating roles, it says it's rolling out an AI assistant. It says it's improving productivity, it says it's streamlining, it says it's helping you get more done. And at the beginning, it genuinely does help. You write an email faster, you summarize a meeting faster, you turn a rough idea into a polished report faster. That relief is the hook, because the moment everyone feels relief, leadership sees opportunity. Not evil opportunity, not some villain plan, just the obvious business conclusion. If output goes up with the same staff, then we can hit the same output with fewer people. That's the rewrite. The danger isn't that AI becomes a robot employee overnight. The danger is that the human to output ratio changes, and it changes quietly. One tool turns it into a new expectation, and that expectation turns into a new baseline, and then the baseline becomes the minimum to justify your salary. So if your work has started to feel easier lately, if you've noticed your tasks becoming simpler, more templated, more repeatable, that's not always a good thing. Sometimes that's the early warning sign, because AI doesn't destroy office jobs by replacing the whole person in one go. It destroys them by making the job look simple enough that the company can redesign the role. And this part is important. AI isn't just replacing tasks, it's rewriting the shape of work. Office jobs were built around friction. The friction of searching for information, formatting documents, writing drafts, summarizing chaos, turning messy data into something a manager can act on, and keeping the machine running through coordination. That friction created entire roles. AI reduces friction. And when friction disappears, the job doesn't stay the same, it collapses inward. The smaller the friction, the smaller the justification for headcount. That's why the first changes often hit the support layer of an office. Not because those people aren't valuable, but because so much of their value lives in process, repetition, coordination, and translation. And those are exactly the areas AI improves fastest. Now, here's the part most people miss, and it's the reason so many office workers don't react until it's too late. AI changes your job without changing your title. Everything looks normal from the outside, same department, same meeting, same performance check-ins, but slowly the expectations rise. You used to produce 2 reports a week, now it's 4. You used to handle 10 requests a day, now it's 20. You used to spend half a day building a deck, now it's expected in an hour. And you'll hear the same reasoning over and over in different words. With AI, it should be quicker. That sentence, AI means it should be quicker, is where the rewrite becomes real. Because once speed becomes the expectation, and once your job becomes throughput, it becomes numbers. And once it becomes numbers, it becomes easy to cut. Here's a thought that's uncomfortable but true. AI doesn't reward good employees. AI rewards cheaper output. So you can be the hardest worker in the room and still lose in a system that's optimizing for cost per task. That's why the biggest danger isn't being bad, the biggest danger is being measurable in the wrong way. If your value can be reduced to how many things you process, then AI will be used to increase that number until the company asks why it needs so many people to process things at all. And this is where the language starts changing in your workplace. If you pay attention, you'll hear it. It's never presented as a threat, it's presented as a positive. Words like efficiency, alignment, streamlining, optimization, simplification, and one of the most common lines is basically we're doing more with less. If you start hearing that kind of language at the same time as AI tools are being rolled out, you're not just adopting software anymore, you're watching the org chart being redesigned in real time. And here's why it feels confusing. You can be getting praise while your role is being removed, because the decision isn't personal, it's structural. So what's the biggest sign the AI rewrite has already started in your workplace? It's not the new software, it's not the AI tool itself. The biggest sign is when your company becomes obsessed with documentation and standardization. Suddenly they want everything written down, templates, playbooks, clear processes, step-by-step handovers, knowledge capture. They might call it making the business more resilient or making onboarding easier or reducing mistakes. Again, it sounds sensible, but here's what documentation really is. It's translation. It's taking what you do in your head and turning it into something repeatable. And once your work becomes repeatable, it becomes trainable. And once it becomes trainable, it becomes automatable, or it becomes easy to shrink the team around. Let me put it in a way that hits a bit harder. If your manager asked you to explain your job in a way that anyone could follow, and you could write it down in a clean set of steps, then you've just turned your role into a system. Systems are what AI eats. That's why a sudden push for write down your process is often the clearest early signal that the company is preparing to run with fewer people, even if nobody is saying it out loud. Now, I don't want you to hear this and panic and think your life is over. The whole point of this video is the opposite. If you see what's happening early, you can move yourself into the safer category before the shift becomes obvious. And no, this isn't where I tell you to become a programmer. The real move is simpler, and it's the reward that most office workers don't hear enough. You need to shift your value from doing tasks to owning outcomes. Tasks are what AI replaces first. Outcomes are harder to replace because outcomes sit closer to real-world consequences. A task is creating a report. An outcome is making sure the report changes a decision. A task is writing an email. An outcome is getting the client to say yes. A task is summarizing a meeting. An outcome is making sure the meeting actually leads to action, not another meeting. And there's a comfort trap here that catches smart people. They think AI makes me faster, so I'm safer. But in a lot of offices, productivity gains aren't shared. They're converted into headcount reductions. So don't measure your safety by how useful AI is to you, measure your safety by what your work is actually connected to. So here's your practical how to get through this so you don't feel scared after watching this. Over the next week, pick one part of your job to do repeatedly and stop thinking of it as the task. Ask yourself what outcome it supports, then start talking about your work in outcomes, not in a cringe way, not in a corporate buzzwords way, but just cleanly. Instead of saying I write reports, you start positioning yourself as I help leadership make faster decisions instead of I send client emails. That sounds small, but it changes how you're measured, and how you're measured decides how safe you really are. If you want some clarity, comment down below your job role and I'll reply with roughly how long you have got until AI is fully replacing your role, and I'll give you a tip on how you can optimize AI to put yourself in a safer position. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe for everything AI. I will see you all in the next one. Peace out.